The moon hung high in the ink-black sky, casting a feeble glow over the deserted streets. A shiver ran down my spine as I pulled my coat tighter around myself, trying to ward off the chilling gusts of wind that seemed to whisper secrets in the night. I glanced around nervously, the dim streetlights casting eerie shadows that danced along the pavement like malevolent spirits. I had always enjoyed the solitude of the night, the quietness that seemed to envelop the world. But tonight, as I walked alone through the unfamiliar town, that solitude felt suffocating, and the silence felt like a prelude to something sinister. I quickened my pace, the echoing sound of my footsteps the only company I had. My phone's battery had died hours ago, leaving me without the comforting glow of its screen. I cursed myself for not charging it before I left, my heart racing with every distant sound that reached my ears. As I turned a corner, a flicker of movement caught my eye, a fleeting shadow disappearing into an alleyway. My breath hitched, and I tried to convince myself it was just a trick of my imagination, that my mind was playing tricks on me in the darkness. I forced myself to keep walking, my footsteps now echoing like thunder in my ears. The streets seemed to stretch on endlessly, the familiar landmarks that I had passed earlier now nowhere to be seen. My heart pounded as panic crept in, and I realized I was lost. I stopped and looked around, my eyes widening in horror as I realized that I had wandered into a part of town I didn't recognize at all. The alleyways and buildings here were decrepit and abandoned, the windows shattered and the graffiti on the walls resembling ancient symbols of a forgotten cult. My breath came in shallow gasps as I tried to retrace my steps, but every corner I turned only led to more winding paths that seemed to defy logic. It was as if the very layout of the town had shifted to trap me in this nightmarish maze. My heart sank as I realized that I was being watched. I could feel eyes on me, the sensation of being hunted sending shivers down my spine. Every shadow seemed to move, every rustling of leaves felt like a sinister whisper. I called out, my voice trembling, "Is someone there?" The only reply was the mocking echo of my own words. As I stumbled through the twisted streets, I saw glimpses of figures, tall, distorted shapes that disappeared whenever I turned to face them. My pulse raced and I felt a growing sense of dread deep in my gut. My mind was a whirlwind of fear and confusion, the boundaries between reality and delusion blurring with every passing second. I came upon a dead-end alley, the walls closing in around me like a vice. I spun around, my eyes wide with terror, only to find myself face to face with a figure that seemed to materialize out of the darkness. It was tall and gaunt, with hollow eyes that gleamed like coals. Its grin stretched unnaturally wide, revealing rows of jagged teeth. My voice caught in my throat as I stumbled back, my heart pounding in my chest. The figure spoke, its voice a raspy whisper that seemed to come from all around me. "Lost, are we?" Its words dripped with malice, and I could feel its gaze boring into my soul. "You wander where you shouldn't, into the realm of the forgotten." I tried to turn and run, but my legs felt like lead, and the alley seemed to stretch on endlessly. The figure's laughter echoed in my ears as it stepped closer, its elongated fingers reaching for me. I squeezed my eyes shut, desperately hoping that this was all a nightmare, that I would wake up any moment. But when I opened my eyes, I was standing in the midst of a desolate landscape, the sky a sickly shade of crimson. The figure was nowhere to be seen, yet its presence lingered like a curse. The air was thick with an otherworldly silence, broken only by the sound of my own ragged breathing. As I stood there, trapped in this nightmarish reality, I realized with a sinking feeling that I had walked into something beyond my understanding. The town, the figures, the shifting streets, they were all part of a malevolent force that had ensnared me. And as the realization dawned upon me, the landscape shifted once more, plunging me into darkness. The last thing I heard was a chorus of mocking whispers, a cacophony of voices that seemed to come from the depths of my own mind. And then there was nothing but darkness, an eternal void that swallowed me whole. So here I remain, a lost soul trapped in the abyss, a cautionary tale for those who dare to walk alone at night. Beware the shadows that watch, the figures that haunt, and the malevolent forces that wait in the forgotten corners of the world. For once you step into the darkness, there may be no escape, just an eternity of fear and regret.